Welcome back, MTG Joe here. Wanted to do a quick one for a weekly meta breakdown. This weekend on Arena, there's the Metagame challenge for Alchemy. Notably, this one is free account in a way. So you can play whatever cards, it's full access. So even if you don't own the cards, you can select whatever deck you want and play in it. It's 2,000 gold, it's best of 3. You get a chance to go up to 7 wins before you get your first loss. And you win packs and a bunch of gold and stuff like that. So if you're interested in kind of expanding your collection, it's a way how. I'm not going to go into the is Alchemy good or bad on this particular one. I'm just really going to offer up deck lists if you do want to play it. What we do with these weekly installments for Standard, Historic, and Alchemy is kind of feature what are the top ladder decks for each week. And then kind of evolve the trend. So if you want to see this type of video for Standard or Historic, they're on the channel. They come out every Monday or Tuesday. And they kind of go into detail. And where we get the bulk of our data from for Arena Ladder is from Untapped GG. It's a companion tool that runs alongside your Arena client. It's free to get started with it. It has a bunch of in-game features, stuff to kind of track your win rates, give you deck suggestions, stuff like that. But for today, we're going to focus on that. There's not a huge population in terms of just games played and stuff like that for Alchemy. It's not the most popular format. So I do have Untapped as well as a couple deck lists that I've pulled up, as well as a recent tournament to kind of go through. But the bulk of the format right now in what you want to be doing with everything you're kind of planning for is Rakdos, Grixis, Mardu, Red-Black X deck. And the core of these decks, if we look at best of 3 for like the last week, close to 70% win rate. There's a couple variations on these decks, but the core of the deck is using Fable the Mirror Breaker, which all modes are kind of useful in this deck. You get Goblin Shaman to ramp you when it attacks, smooths out your draw by drawing a discard, and then it creates a creates a creature that lets you copy your non-legendary creatures. And what you're doing with that is like flashing or making copies of Citystalker Connoisseur to attack your opponent's hand, or getting copies of Bloodthirsty Adversary to recast stuff out of your graveyard. There's also some copies of Graveyard Trespasser for utility. This particular version is going up to Invoke Despair, just a really flexible card. You kind of refill your hand, take a bunch of your opponent's cards. With the recent Alchemy drop, you have Undercity Plunder. This is basically either your opponent discards a card and you get a card from their deck at random, or they discard 2 cards for 2 mana. So both are pretty good rates. There's also Painful Bond, which is 2 cards that you get to draw in black for 2 mana. It does put a penalty on your 3 CMC or more that costs you a life, but between Graveyard Trespasser, stuff like that, there's a way to gain some life. And then there's a new card as well in Molten Impact. This card's been really flexible. So it deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Any excess damage that would have been dealt. So if they have like 1 toughness, 3 excess, you kind of put that in the bank, set it aside, and the next instant or sorcery you spell, so that you cast, it kind of deals that remaining damage to something else. So you can cast this, kill like a 1 toughness, and then say cast Painful Bond or Plunder, and then even though this isn't a removal spell, you redirect that 3 damage in a way. So kind of cool like that. Otherwise, it's just a smattering of removal spells to kind of play into it. So you kind of see that. One of the big techs that you're going to see a lot of these decks, and if you're running blue and a lot of decks are just splashing for this, is Orvar the All-Form. Kind of a random card from Kaldheim, but really it's being played for its last kind of paragraph of text. Whenever a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard a card, create a token copy. So they hit you at Citystalker or Plunder or something like that, you get to hit them with Orvar and then copy their Citystalker or land or one of their permanents, stuff like that. In the grindy matchups, you have Cosmos Elixir to just get you some card advantage, and then just a mix of removal spells, discard, sweepers, and more Graveyard Trespassers for the grindier matchups. I'll paste these deck lists in the video description if you're interested in importing. So there's also the Orzhov Dungeon deck. So this is not the best into the Rakdos deck, but it can put up a fight. It's another grindy style deck. It's really looking to use the buffed adventure effects. So Triumphant Adventure being a 2/1, Precipice drop being 2 mana as removal, and then you have Nadar, which gives you some value. You go up to Liaisa, so it's still a Citystalker deck. You get access to Vanishing Verse. This one's just mild splash of red for Tibalt Cosmic Imposter, kind of playing into that. This one won the Mythic Championship. This was kind of like the winning list. What you see in the sideboard, you have like discard, you have some more removal, Cathar Commando, Dawnbird Cleric, just flexible kind of removal spells, Bankbuster for the grindier games. The Thraben Exorcism was for Hinata combo because it can exile spirits, but if you're playing against enchantments, it also has utility there. Graveyard Trespassers, Go Blank, Meathooks. One thing I would probably say, I think the innovation, like Bankbuster, is probably too slow. Going into the Cosmos Elixir is probably a better idea, especially playing into all these mirrors. Just having an answer for that. So there's this option as well if you do want to play more of a dungeon style deck. So I'm going to go to Croaky's list for a sec. So he's been playing a lot of these red-black X decks. He went 33-4 with this particular build. So it's still got your core engine of like Fable, the Mirror Breaker, Citystalker Connoisseur. So it's Grixis in the sense you have some blue cards in the sideboard. But this one is looking to play around Oni Cult Anvil as well as Sanguine Brushstroke with the blood token kind of grind them out value plan in that one there. So this is probably going to be a very popular deck. He went something like over the last course like 66-4 with various decks. It was number 3 Mythic. Your sideboard, you get like Test of Talents for kind of the mirrors and control matchups. You have your Orvars and then just a bunch of grindy style effects mixed into there. So you have that. And then if you want to play runes, so how it worked at the championship was everyone was gunning for runes. Going into the tournament, runes was the best deck in the format. A lot of these pros found these versions of these decks with the Jiki kind of grind value with Citystalker Connoisseur. People were bringing a lot of removal, Archon of Emeria, stuff like that. This is my favorite deck in Alchemy. So this one is from Gregor's Ulrich Kowalski, MPL player, professional player. This is one of the ones he's recommending. And I'll link you to his Twitter. He does make mention that he feels this is a good counter to the red-black value decks. He does have a bunch of helpful hints and stuff like that. So I will link you to that. But this particular list is the Runeforge. Kind of wins out of nowhere at times. You can play a bunch of spells. So something to check out if you like these types of decks. You don't want to be on the red-black plan. I still enjoy this. I've personally... what's my rank with this? I was playing it in best of 1, it's just not best of 3, but I have a like 70% win rate with the deck. The Hallowed Haunting is kind of a good grind value in the mirrors. It lets you go over the top and just lets you go wide in another case. What am I? I was playing on my phone the other day, so it didn't record some games. So I went 3-0 on my phone as well, but it was like 68. So probably about 70% win rate overall after about 100 games with it. Very similar list. As Gregor's. Again, MPL players mixed up. But this is another version you can take a look at if you want to play something like that. Finally, going to, this was a little bit dated in the sense it's about a week old. Meta moves fast. This is Huglandia's Alchemy tournament. You can see just a bunch of Rakdos decks, various forms. That's kind of where the Orvar tech came in. There's like mono white aggro if you're interested in playing some mono white, but it has a pretty bad matchup into these Rakdos decks. 4-color combos likely. Oh, Reanimator. Okay. But you have some decks here. Blue white control if you're interested in that. Mono green aggro. While they're probably not top tier, if they're more your playstyle. Playstyle is the biggest thing. Play something you're comfortable with. Kind of going from there. But quick one for this week. Like I said, on my channel, we do weekly installments. So if you're interested in standard, we look at best of 1, best of 3, same as with historic. We include all the deck lists. I go over week to week, just in terms of trends, in terms of decks that are on the rise, decks are kind of falling by the wayside, kind of new tech, just like a whole kind of synopsis. So it's not just, here's a data dump of deck lists, kind of explaining the trends. So if you do enjoy that kind of content, kind of keeping up with what's the best thing to take to the arena ladder, definitely do subscribe so you know when those go live. And if you're interested in arena content, just in terms of gameplay, we do put out a bunch of videos for the week. I did qualify for the MIQ for tomorrow. This will be on Saturday. So for Saturday, which is sealed, and day 1, limited draft day 2. So hopefully try to make day 2 on that, do some limited MIQs, but we'll play MIQs, stuff like that on the channel as well. But in any case, if you do play this, good luck. If you do post some good records with any of the lists, drop it in the comments. Let me know what you did well with, and we will catch you next time. Thanks for watching.